What's up, y'all? My Nagas and Naginis coming to break y'all off a little something. I'll give y'all a little information about the constitutional rights cards. They just came out. As you can see, this beautiful card right here. Let me put it on up there for you. Can y'all see that? Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, that card is beautiful right there. Let me show you again. So that's the back. And this card is hard plastic like a credit card, so they can't break it or throw it away or rip it up. Also, it has, if you can see on the back right here, it has a place for your signature. You guys sign it. This makes it a legal document. Also, so that people know that it's your card, so if you ever lost it. Just for you guys who get the cards, this is very slick because it's plastic, so you may have to sign it with a Sharpie just to let you know. But I just mailed out 20 something of these on Saturday, so if you did order your card, you will get it probably by Wednesday or Thursday. All right, it's on the way. Also, just so you know, your card does come with this right here. This is the constitutional rights card information, so it's a more breakdown of what's on the card. Give y'all a little. So actually, I'm going to read what's on the card so that you guys understand the information that you guys need to know at traffic stops. Really quickly, you guys, it's really messed up the way stuff is about the law. But when most police officers, when they're doing things to you at a traffic stop that you think are illegal, they're actually not illegal or unlawful or whatever the word you want to use. They are actually following the line or their procedure. You just don't know the procedure, and because it's immoral, it may be immoral, and they may be profiling you and treating you worse because you are melanated. Absolutely, but the rules are the same for both you and Caucasians. Now the thing is, police have something called police discretion. So this means that they can choose to use certain procedures and laws against you if they want. So it's fucked up that when you're melanated, they choose to use more of the laws against you than they do against Caucasian people. Absolutely. But this is what you have to learn. This is the way it is. You can't sit up here and get emotional and cry about it. That's not going to change. You're not going to go into someone's psyche and change the way they think about you, think about your melanin on first sight. This is thousands of years of fear and indoctrination. Why they have this deep-rooted fear in themselves about you. So you have to understand how things are and create a mode of how to work in between those lines. But you can't do that if you don't know the law. So to give you an example. The Supreme Court has given police officers something called unquestioned command. Okay, so the Supreme Court case that you guys definitely want to look up is Terry versus Ohio. Okay, and this is what's called I said this on another video. The police stops that you get usually are called Terry stops. Okay, and so this is because of the Supreme Court case Terry versus Ohio. Excuse me. In that court case, they ruled that it was legal for the police to frisk you based on what's something called reasonable suspicion. See, this is the thing that most of you don't know. All of you know probable cause. Whenever you hear someone fighting with the police officer or something like that, you always hear a brother say, "Well, you ain't got probable cause. You got probable cause." But the funny thing is, most of you actually don't even know what probable cause is. You say that because you heard it on TV, but you don't know what the fuck that means. What is probable cause? If I were to ask you, define probable cause. If I said, okay, if we were to look at a certain situation and I said, what's probable cause here? How many of you would be able to define and recognize what probable cause is? Most of you would not. See, probable cause, which is under your Fourth Amendment. See, you got your Fourth, Fifth, and your Sixth Amendments. These are the amendments in the Constitution that you want to focus on at the stop. So the Fourth Amendment guarantees the right against unreasonable searches and seizures without your consent, right? So, but at a police stop, the Supreme Court has ruled that a police stop can be more dangerous to the police officer than the citizen. This is because they're at the car window when they're taking your information. And this has happened before. Oncoming cars in traffic have hit the police officer because they didn't see him, or for whatever reason they lost control of the car and hit the police officer. So the Supreme Court said, no, this is fuckery. It's much safer for the police officer to question you outside of the car on the side of the road. Now, if the police officer pull you out of the car or don't, that's under that thing I just told you, police discretion. Most of the times when you're melanated, you know, and if you give them some lip, they're probably going to use that discretion to pull you out of the car. So, but you don't understand these rights. So you go off and think, oh, well, why you fucking with me? Well, you don't got the right to do this. You don't got the right. Yes, they have all the right. And another thing the Supreme Court has given them is something called unquestioned command. This is in the Supreme Court ruling, unquestioned command. You guys have to understand this. Meaning, anything they tell you to do, you can't question it if it doesn't majorly violate your Fourth Amendment rights or your constitutional rights. And what that means is, if it's a minimum, which they call something called de minimis, you know, a de minimis breakdown of your rights, a de minimis, you know, violation of your rights, which just means it's too minor of a violation of your rights for the law to take cognizance of. We don't recognize that shit. It wasn't big enough because you're already stopped. You know, the police officer has to already do these procedures. So they said, okay, in order to ensure your safety, you have unquestioned command at the police stop. Meaning whatever you need to do to gain control of the situation, you do that. So when you give the police officer any lip, you give him attitude, you give him any lip, any of that stuff, that goes against the unquestioned command. When you say, you know what I'm saying, when you ask why they fucking with you, you can ask, why did you stop me? That's not unquestioned command. They're supposed to tell you why they stopped you, right? But when they start going through all that and you start to say, why you fucking with me? Because I'm black and you doing all this and that, and why I got to get out of the car? And you start arguing, that's against the unquestioned command. This is when they have the right, according to the Supreme Court, to pull you out of the car and start doing whatever. Now, the other reason, again, we're going back to reasonable suspicion. So, again, let's define probable cause first. Probable cause is evidence. Probable cause defined as evidence, either circumstantial or actual evidence that I can place my hand on that says, oh, there may be some bullshit, you know, some violation of the law going on here, so I need to investigate further. All right, this is evidence, right? This is the term evidence when they have probable cause, meaning when they stop you, did they smell weed? Did they see weed? Did they see a gun? You know what I'm saying? Any type of thing that they can say, oh, I smelt this, I saw this, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. Now, the other thing, the main reason why they do stop you is not for probable cause. The main reason that the police officers stop you is reasonable suspicion. This is the thing that you guys do not know about. Reasonable suspicion. So reasonable suspicion is basically if you look suspicious of a crime that you may have committed a crime, and this means running from the police. This is also defined as if you're more than 3 people in a group on the street, that's considered a gang. That's reasonable suspicion that they can question you. When you say, why you messing with us? We ain't do nothing. Well, the law has stated more than 3 niggas on the street is a gang. So they can question you because of that. If you've ever been arrested before, that's reasonable suspicion. If you've ever been arrested before in a place and they find you in that same place that you were arrested committing a crime, that's reasonable suspicion that you were committing that crime again. So under reasonable suspicion, it states, they just can't come up and do anything to you. It states that they have to have specific and articulable facts. Okay? This is what it says. Specific and articulable facts in order to have reasonable suspicion. Meaning they had to say, okay, it's because of this reason, and be able to break it down articulately why they stopped you. If they cannot do that, you can ask them this when they stop you. When they stop you and say, why are you stopping me? And they say, well, you look like you committed a crime or something like this. Then you ask them, do you have reasonable suspicion? You can ask them both. Do you have probable cause or reasonable suspicion? But most of the time they stop you because of reasonable suspicion. So you can say, well, since you stopped me, I assume that you have specific and articulable facts of why you stopped me. That means, you know what I'm saying, that there was a crime committed here and I look like the person who committed the crime. That means they're going to have to tell you what that person looked like. And make sure that that person looked just like you. If you for Eric Garner, for those of you who don't understand how they were able to attack Eric Garner, because Eric Garner was arrested for selling cigarettes at that spot before in CDs or whatever. He was a known violator of policy, basically, of the law. So when they saw him there again, even though they didn't see him selling the cigarettes or committing a crime, because he had been arrested there before, is a reasonable enough suspicion that he might be committing the crime again, which allowed them to be able to question him. So when he's saying, leave me alone, dude, even though he was right morally, he wasn't doing anything. He was actually breaking up a fight, I think. Even though he was correct morally, or right morally, he wasn't correct. See, in law, you have to be right and correct. These two things have to add up, meaning philosophically, you can be right about what you're saying. Yes, this can be philosophically, everything you say, yes. But does it match up with what's going on in the law? Is it correct in the law? And if it doesn't, you're not going to win. So when he's saying, leave me alone, he's absolutely right. He's not doing anything. Why are you messing with him? But according to the law, they had every right to mess with him because of reasonable suspicion. And this is the thing that you guys need to know. So on this card, on this constitutional rights card, it mentions probable cause and reasonable suspicion. I'm going to read to you what's on this card. But just know, you guys need to go and understand and follow up on these basic laws that are on this card so that you know when you're not being railroaded by the police. You're going to have this, but by no means do you think that this is your safe way out without you having to know what's on this card and what it means, the context of what it's in. Not just what it says, the context of where these laws came from. You have to know that. And so, again, with the card, when you order this card, you're going to get this page here, and this basically tells you what's on the card. Okay, just so that you can read it and memorize it and understand what it's saying. So right now I'm going to read what's on the card. So it says, Constitutional Rights Card, notice to all police officers and public officials. The bearer of this card expressly reserves all U.S. constitutional rights and chooses to exercise the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments thereof in the presence of or detainment and arrest by any police officers or public officials. These rights include, but are not limited to, the right to remain silent, the right against unreasonable searches and seizures without a warrant. The bearer of this card does not consent to searches. Number 3, the right to lawfully record police officers in public except for Massachusetts and Illinois. That's very important. They'll try to tell you all the time that you need to turn off the camera and you can't record them. It's legal for you to record a police officer in every state in the public except for Michigan and Illinois. Massachusetts and Illinois. All right, those two states have a two-party has to know that they're being recorded, whether it's in public or private. But any other state, you can record a police officer in public, even without their knowledge, because they're public officials. So, number 4, the right not to be unlawfully harassed or profiled by police officers due to my race, religion, and or creed. And number 5, the right to legal representation. These are very important because at a police stop, police officers, the stop is supposed to last no more than 5 to 15 minutes. But they'll keep the stop going to try to get you to incriminate yourself by asking you a lot of questions, that have nothing to do with the stop. Now, this is legal as long as it doesn't extend the time of the stop. But also the Supreme Court ruled recently in 2015 that a police officer cannot extend the stop longer than it takes to get the information or to execute the mission that effectuates the stop. Meaning, ask you for your driver's license, your registration, check for warrants and insurance. As long as whenever they do that, whenever they finish that, they're supposed to let you go. Now, if they ask you questions in the midst of doing that and it doesn't prolong the stop, that's legal. However, if they do ask you questions and it prolongs the stop, nothing to do with the stop, then that's illegal, and you can say, "Officer, am I free to go?" And they have to let you go. Now, again, don't physically do anything against the police because that can get you smacked up. But always remember, law is not for the traffic stop. Okay, it's never for the traffic stop. It's for after the stop when you have to go and get your remedy in court later. Okay, these police officers don't know much over procedure. They go and take these tests in the police academy. They know their procedure, what they're supposed to do, what they're supposed to say. After that, that's it. They're winging it, and they're hoping that they know more law than you. Actually, they're banking on it, and they're pretty much right 9 times out of 10 that they know more law than you. And if they don't, they'll lie, which also shows that you don't know the law. Because when they don't know the law, they can lie about anything and lie to you, and you don't know that shit is right or wrong. So you follow right along with it. So basic rules of understanding the law is what you need to know. Just like the brother, go look up the NFL player Malik McDowell. Go look him up, Malik McDowell. He just got hemmed up about a couple of weeks ago by police officers, but he was the one in the wrong. I want y'all to go see the difference between somebody who's doing wrong and somebody who's not. Now, these police officers in this case handled it as well as they could have. They could have killed him. In this stop, he did everything to give the police officers a right to shoot him dead right there. But they didn't even reach for their guns once. Not one time. And homeboy's like, 6'7", almost 300 pounds. And the police officers that were taking him in were, they 160 pounds, maybe at the most, maybe close to 200. They look like kids next to him. But he was doing everything wrong, asking for a supervisor when he didn't understand what he did wrong legally. So the stop, you got to go. I can't explain the whole thing. It's the funniest video ever because he goes crazy on this police officer and they didn't really do anything. But those police officers should be commended because they had, no matter if he was fuchsia or plaid, they had every right to shoot him, pull their guns and shoot him for what he did. He attacked a police officer after getting tased. And so, but they didn't think about pulling their guns once. But in stops like he could have been killed just because he didn't know minor law. Just basic law. All the police officer was going to do is give him a ticket. They weren't going to take him in. He was just speeding and spun out in the snow, so the police officer was going to give him a ticket for that, and he went crazy. So it's so important for you guys to know the law, and if not, you're not going to know, go in depth on the law. You have to have a constitutional rights card, know your rights card, whatever you want to call them. I call them CRCs, constitutional rights cards. It explains everything. So really quickly, this is what's on the card, again, on the back of the card. The bearer of this card fully expects any and all police officers and officials attempting to impede said bearer's right to ingress and regress, that means your right to come and go, to have probable cause, and I mentioned the 4th Amendment and the United States Supreme Court case Wren versus United States, and or reasonable suspicion, meaning specific and articulable facts, U.S. Supreme Court Terry versus Ohio, to effectuate and validate such a stop. If the bearer of this card's constitutional rights are abrogated or infringed upon by any public servant, officer, or agents any public servant, officer, official, or agents thereof, a tort claim and lien against the officers and or public officials' official surety bond will be filed pursuant to state and federal law. Any abrogation or violation of the cardholder's constitutional rights by said officers and or public officials constitutes cognizance, consent, and forfeiture to said bond claim as required by the officer's oath of office and oath to the U.S. Let me read that again. As required by the officer's oath of office and oath to the U.S. Constitution. So everything I just said right here is major in the law, because most police officers, actually every police officer, has to have a public official bond. I've said this on the show many times. I put this in videos. This is the end game for you guys, knowing the law. That public official bond is their insurance, that they don't commit any harm to the public or the government. If they do, they have to have that insurance to pay for it. So that means any violation of your rights, which they've sworn an oath to the Constitution not to do, not the 14th Amendment violation of your rights, due process and stuff like that. I'm talking about the 5th Amendment. This is in the actual Constitution. Then they have to have, you can put a lien on that bond stating that they violated your rights. This is what that money is for restitution for harming you, for doing you harm. So you put a lien on this bond, then while the lien is on this bond, they cannot work. For the whole time this lien is on the bond, they cannot work. If they put personal property on this bond or tied it to the personal property, like their house, their car, or some other thing like that, that personal property or lien is placed on that personal property as well. So it's so important for you guys to have that. Now, that's just the paperwork that comes with the card. If you just buy the single constitutional rights card, you get that paperwork as well that tells you what's on the card. But if you buy the whole package right here, you get this. This is the Know Your Rights manual, all right? And in this is all of the information that's on that card, as well as the information on how to file that bond on the police officer, the step-by-steps that you need to do to go about doing that. And it's going to be different in every state because the laws vary slightly, but they're pretty much the same. It has that information. It also has a link to how to sue a police officer, how to federally sue a police officer or statewide sue a police officer. These are the things you have to know. These are the remedies for you to get back at them when they violate your rights. But you don't know that, and they count on you not knowing that, especially melanated people. We don't give a shit. We just take the hit and keep it moving. Caucasians, I'll sue. I'm gonna sue. What's his name? What's his badge number? Right there. What's his name and badge number? I need you. I need your number. I need your name. I need your name. That's how white people do it. And they take that shit and they go sue the fuck out of them. But you don't do that because you don't think it. First of all, it's intimidating to try to go and try to go through those procedures. But the law has been nothing but fuckery to the niggas most of the time. So why would you think the law is gonna work for you like that? But you don't know that's out there. And this is something that it's out there to protect every citizen, as well as the government. It's there really to protect the government too, because for you not coming back and suing them for $1 billion. They have, they put this police bond. But you can still do that as well. But this police bond is supposed to cover the first layer of when a police officer violates your rights. So again, that's what's in the manual. In the back. Let me show you that part as well. So that's this part of you can see that. So file a bond, filing the bond claim. And also in the back, what I've done is put, this is called the legal resources page. Now, I have access to a judge's resource, traffic court judge's resource. So what's in here is all from the judge's traffic court resource, meaning this is the resource that the judges use to convict you on traffic crimes. All of the Supreme Court cases, all of that's right here, all in this resource. So you'll have the information that the judges have when they're convicting you on those crimes, and know how to move and what procedures you need to make, because knowing how to move is everything. Information is king. If you don't have information, then you can't do shit. But you live in a system and a society where you have to know the rules. You woke up in a game of Monopoly and said, you know what, fuck the rules, I'm just gonna wing it. And then get mad when you land on Boardwalk and the motherfucker want his money. Or you get that damn go to jail, you get that, you land on go to jail. You can't do that. You don't know the right. What do I need to do not to go to jail? And if I do go to jail, or I get in that place, what do I need to do to get out of it? You would not play against somebody who was a master at Monopoly and did not read the rules. You wouldn't do it. No game would you do that. And you damn sure wouldn't bet them. But you're betting your lives that the shit is going to just turn out right. Because you got good karma or some shit? Are these niggas love you? Get the fuck out of here with that. You need to learn the law. Period. ain't no expoundation on. You need to learn the law. At the very least, the basic rights that they use in traffic stops and and police stops to violate your constitutional rights, or the things that they say that are the law that they use to violate your rights, because most of the time it's bullshit. And always remember, a police stop is not for you to argue with the police officer. That's not what that's for. He don't know shit. Most of the time it's going to turn out wrong if you're melanated. That police discretion is most of the time only used with Caucasians. They have unquestioned command and they can do all of that shit with them too, but they're not going to do that with them. You don't have that privilege. That unquestioned, that discretion, police discretion is a privilege, and you don't get that. Sorry. So you need to know how to maneuver without it. What can he do to you? What can he do to you? So again, that's the constitutional rights cards. I just sent out 20 something of these on Saturday. So if you're waiting on them, you pre-ordered, you're going to get yours. And if you order the Great Book of Melanin Research, if you order the hard copy, Great Book of Melanin Research right here, you will get the card for free. All right, I'll give you the Know Your Rights card for free if you get this, because you got to have both of these. Both of these you should have information that you need to have. So constitutional rights card and the melanin book are free. If you want the whole package, I'll give you the whole package. That's the book, the melanin rights book. Excuse me. The book is not half off, but I will give you the Know Your Rights package for half off if you buy the Melanin Research book. And if you order the digital copy of the Melanin Research book, you get the CRC for half off. All right. Also, I sell these books. You can buy this individually as well. This manual individually as well. So just remember, this has the resources for you to be able to maneuver through just basic law. But all of this, what's in here, the legal resources come from the judges. Yes, that's where I got that. From the judges themselves. So you don't have to wonder, oh, where the hell did he get this damn law? This nigga don't know the goddamn law. What the hell? First of all, I've been studying the law for 22 years. Constitutional law. Let's get that right. However, my disclaimer is you need to study the law yourself. Don't take what I say, and don't take anything that I say, verbatim or as gospel. You need to study yourself. I'm just leading you into that information. Even though I've been studying for 22 years, I know it's right. You don't. So go out and get yourselves the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, preferably. 4th, 5th, or 6th are the best ones. But you have to get that so that you can start understanding the language of the law. And you don't need to know major law. You just need to know what they use against you in order to take you down so that you can subvert that. You can bypass it and maneuver around that. Because most of the time when they're violating your rights, or when they're arresting you for a crime, you haven't committed a crime. They're just trumping some charges up on you, but that you have no idea how to get taken off. Case in point, the Central Park 5. Had their parents or anyone knew any of the law, just basic law within here, the right to remain silent, number 5, that's on this card. I have the right to remain silent. If they just known that and said nothing, all of those kids would have went home that day. Every single one of them. But they didn't, and they spent 7 to 14 years in jail because they had no idea to shut the hell up. So that's it. Constitutional rights card update. The breakdown between probable cause and reasonable suspicion. You guys need to know that. That's an actual thing. Unquestioned command is an actual thing, and police discretion is an actual thing. And all of these play into your police stops when they're jacking you up, slamming your face up against a hot-ass goddamn car hood because you don't know the law. Go check out that video with Malik McDowell, and you will see that it's imperative that you know the law. so that you don't end up like that nigga. I'm out. Deuces. Oh, get the card, realnagas.com. Book, realnagas.com. Naga Knowledge Shop. I'm gonna holler at y'all in a minute. Peace.